Hi everyone, Rory here, and this is, as you may have already realised, a quick free Q&A session designed to give you the opportunity to ask some questions about hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and anything relating to hypnosis and hypnotherapy, to be honest. So if you're looking to learn about rapid inductions, if you're looking to learn how to hypnotize, how to help people with hypnosis and all of the different things that go into doing hypnotherapy, or even how to do stage and street hypnosis and have a bit of fun with hypnosis, then this is your opportunity to ask me any questions that you feel you like the answer to and you'd like to know my opinion about those topics. Because when you are learning hypnosis, learning hypnotherapy, for whatever reason, there are many different opinions. Lots of hypnotists and hypnotherapists have their own opinions about various different aspects of hypnosis and hypnotherapy, but also lots of hypnotherapy trainers and hypnosis trainers have their own opinions as well. And these are things that can be passed down, especially when you're being taught hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And you have, excuse me, I've got a bit of a bad throat, so if I'm coughing or having to have a drink, that's the reason. I've got a couple of comments. Woo! Yeah, feel free, guys, to comment. We've got Simon. Hi, Simon. Good to see you as well, or good to read you. And Suniti, hi, as well. So yeah, people, when you're learning hypnosis or hypnotherapy, you get passed down information from a trainer or trainers and authors and people who are doing YouTube videos and wherever you're getting your information from. Keep in mind that whatever information you receive, and whether that's from me, whether that is from any of the other trainers, whether it's from a book by Milton Erickson or an NLP book by Bandler and Grinder or whatever, these are all people's opinions. That doesn't necessarily mean that what people are telling you is the only way to do things. And I've met a lot of people throughout my career teaching hypnosis, and also a few times recently doing a couple of one-to-one training events where people have been told things about hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and how to do it that have maybe been a little bit inflexible, and that's something that I personally strive to avoid, and I like to give people as much flexibility as possible, because there's more than one way to do things, and there are lots and lots of very strong opinions about hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and so sometimes you have to wade through those in order to get to the facts and to develop your own sense of flexibility. So for those of you who are watching, Kathy, Paul, hi, thanks for commenting. Anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, probably below this, I guess, wherever you're watching it. Because I don't have anything planned whatsoever, and I can just go on waffling and waffling about nothing much in particular. Hypnosis, obviously. But if you give me some questions, then I can target this to answer and give you some useful, tangible information to take away with you. Simon Gwint, really enjoyed your live rapid induction training day. Thank you, Simon. I enjoyed it too. I've actually got another one coming up on Saturday. I'm going up to Leeds, probably at like 4:30 in the morning to get ready for that one. So I'm going to get an early night tonight and tomorrow night. But for anyone who is in Leeds, Manchester, surrounding areas, and you're looking to learn rapid inductions, there are a few places left if you wanted to book last minute. Then feel free to pop on. You can check my website, learnhypnosis.com, and if I can figure out how to multitask at some point, I will post a link in the chat. But I'm pretty bad at multitasking, especially when I'm thinking about what to say next. So I've had one question that came in that I've got somewhere. Just let me find it. I've got my phone here so I can double. There's things coming in from everywhere. I've got a couple on email. Here's one that was in the event itself, which was Paul Evans. Will you be doing the intensive hypnotherapy course anytime soon? Paul Evans. Thanks for the question, Paul. The answer is yes, I will be doing an intensive hypnotherapy course, and I'm working on the logistics of it as we speak, and it's something that, if you've been keeping up with my emails and my updates, I was planning initially to bring out my intensive hypnotherapy course when I also bring out my new suite of online hypnosis and hypnotherapy courses, which I'm working tirelessly behind the scenes to get that done. So that is, it is on the cards. It's still happening. It's just that I'm in the process of planning all of that online stuff. However, recently I've been doing a few one-to-one hypnotherapy courses, which were very intensive in nature, and I think that it might be something that I can bring about a little bit sooner, to do intensive group hypnotherapy courses. Don't quote me on that, because I don't have a timeline for you yet, but it is something that a few people have been asking me for, so I'm going to look into the logistics of it. If you're on my mailing list, then you will hear about it as and when that happens, and obviously if you're following the Facebook page and Instagram, TikTok, it will be everywhere, everywhere that I can put it. So hopefully, Paul, that answers your question. Even though there's not a set date, it is on the cards, and I'll try and speed it up as soon as I possibly can. Let's just jump back, because I've seen some comments. Oh, there's lots of comments. I'm going to talk faster. If I do talk quite fast, if anyone is not understanding what it is that I'm saying, feel free to make a comment. If you want me to clarify anything, then do let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to chat on. Rich, hi, Rory, Rich and Kathy Brown. Hello, nice to see you. Suniti, I'm looking for the best place or recommended place to get insured. I've been on maternity leave and I'm so excited to get back into the swing of things. Well, congratulations on your newfound maternity, and good that you're getting back into things. I don't tend to give personal recommendations out and say you should go to this insurer, but there are a whole bunch of different insurers who will help you to go out and practice hypnotherapy while being fully insured. Just some of the names that come off my head. I'm not saying they're my recommendations. I'm saying that I know some people who use them, and I have used some of them myself in the past. Balens, B-A-L-E-N-S, they do a hypnotherapy insurance. Holistic Insurance Services, H-I-S, Holistic Insurance Services, they do some insurance as well. Hiscox, I believe, do some hypnotherapy insurance. Oxygen, they do hypnotherapy insurance as well. So there are lots of options. As with all insurance, figure out what your needs are, what you actually want covered, whether there are any complementary therapies and stuff that you want as well, whether you're doing any hypnosis products, MP3s that would need insurance as well. Are you doing online therapy, in-person therapy? And ask your providers if those things are covered and what the prices are, and then you can compare them for depending on what your budget is. But generally, most hypnotherapy insurance that I hear of recently in the last year or so tends to be between, I don't know, about £40 to £80. That's about the bracket that you're looking at per year, so it's relatively affordable. Hopefully that helps a little bit, Suniti, with info on insurance. And those are UK based as well, just FYI. So elsewhere, I don't have as much information. But yeah, just have a Google, and also look for complementary therapy insurance, and also sometimes sports insurance providers, weirdly, they sometimes do hypnotherapy as well, so hopefully that helps. Simon Greet, which deepeners do you tend to prefer when doing rapid inductions? Rapid inductions, obviously, for those of you who are brand new, are ways to hypnotise people really quickly, usually physical ways, pulling arms and giving people shocks and interrupting subconscious patterns. We can talk more about that if you'd like to at some point, if anyone asks those questions. Otherwise, you can have a look at my website, which is learnhypnosis.com, and you will find lots of information about rapid inductions there, as well as my courses and books. But regarding this question from Simon, deepeners do I tend to prefer? I really prefer and require and suggest you always use direct deepening suggestions immediately after you do your rapid inductions, and that is integral, in my opinion, to the success of your rapid inductions, because with rapid induction, someone's going to go really quickly into hypnosis. If you stop talking to then think about what you're going to do next, they can come straight back up, unlike a progressive gradual induction where they will gradually go into hypnosis, and if you stop talking, they will slowly bring themselves up, usually. So direct deepening suggestions are my number one with rapid inductions. Literally just deeper and deeper and deeper, relaxing into hypnosis, drifting and dreaming and floating. All of these very direct suggestions to just go deeper into hypnosis. Then I prefer, if I have a short period of time, if I'm doing like a demonstration or something and I don't want to spend too much time on the hypnosis process, I want to get to the fun stuff, or if I don't have a lot of time to work with someone to give some therapy suggestions, rapid deepeners are fantastic. My favourites probably are the rocking deepener, where you rock someone from side to side and relax them. The hand drop deepener, that's a really good one. I also like the arm levitation deepener, and that's a cool one, and it's good for demonstrations as well, because you're suggesting that the arm is going to either go down to their lap at their own speed, and as it goes down, as soon as it touches their lap, they're going to go deeper into hypnosis. Has a dual effect, because it's not only a very good deepener, but it looks really cool as well. It's quite a nice convincer. And anyone who's watching, if you're doing a demonstration publicly, that looks great. You don't even really have to do many... There's a cat over there meowing. It's one of my cats, don't worry. So if you hear cats, that's what's happening. You're not hypnotised to think that the cat's around. But yeah, as well as that, you don't necessarily have to do lots of entertainment suggestions in order to entertain. Even just having someone in hypnosis and having them positioned with their hand up in the air, maybe you get their hand to travel to their forehead to send them deeper, but that looks really cool. So something that I enjoy, but you don't have to just use rapid deepeners with rapid inductions. You can use you could use your progressive induction as a deepener after a rapid induction. You can use numbers and colours and countdowns and visualizations, anything that you like. They're interchangeable. They're like Lego bricks. You can choose whichever colours and shapes that you want to add in. So hopefully, Simon, that answers your question. So my real answer is any deepener. Whatever you like and whatever you feel is appropriate for that situation. So let me just jump down a little bit. Rich, we did the 2-day in December in London, fantastic, and I hope you thoroughly enjoy that. Rich, we've got another one coming up in July, the 2-day, which is the first day is rapid inductions, the second day is entertainment hypnosis. As you know, Rich, you've been there already, right? But for anyone who would like to come along and learn to hypnotize fast and also learn how to have a bit of fun with hypnosis, that's definitely something that you can do. It's a really good opportunity to do that. Have lots of hypnotherapists coming along, because they tend to find that it's a really good confidence booster just to get there, hypnotise people, more than one person at a time as well, hypnotising groups and getting them to do fun stuff without having to rely on scripts. And that's a big bugbear of mine, and for some hypnotherapists, they want to get away from using and having to rely on scripts. So that's a really nice opportunity to get started doing that. So can you come and have a look at my phone and see if you can post a... So I'm just getting my beautiful assistant to come and see if she can post some post some links, because I can't find the button here on my dashboard for some reason. It's fine. I've been touched. It's a cat hair. We have 5 cats. Don't judge. But some of them are very hairy, and so that gets all over the place. So where did we get to? The 2-day course, yeah. So Rich, just because you mentioned that, if you or anyone else who's been to my courses before, you'd like to come back to get more practice, feel free to come back along for half price. Just contact me personally, and I'll send you a special half price link for people who've already done the courses. It's a really good opportunity to just get more practice, come out and meet some more hypno folks and have a fun day or a fun weekend. Kathy Allen, I'm really keen to learn hypnotherapy, have a course coming up. So, again, I did just mention that a little while ago with regards to the intensive course, which I'm not entirely sure when that's going to be. I do offer one-to-one hypnotherapy training if it's something that you absolutely cannot wait for, and it's a really good option. Bear in mind, it is very intense. If you're the only person, I've got you, and I can just talk at you for however many days that you have me for. So that is an option, and that we can do pretty much straight away, assuming that there is availability. So feel free to check out the website learnhypnosis.com for that. That's where you can find all my stuff these days. My brand new website, really proud of it. It's on a t-shirt, look, there you go. But in terms of my intensive hypnotherapy course, it's in the works. I don't have a specific date yet. You will know about that as soon as I know about that. And also the online hypnotherapy training is coming along, but there's a lot of stuff. Basically, what I'm trying to do with my online, and if you haven't seen any of my any of my emails, my aim with my online training is a really affordable, low-cost solution to training. It's going to be kind of like a monthly recurring membership. You can sign up when you want, and then just whenever you're done, you can what's the word for not signing up? Cancel. That's the word. My brain. So it's going to be super affordable, and my aim is to download as much information as possible from my head into these online courses, and it's mostly going to be videos, but lots of demonstrations, lots of practical activities that you can take away and do. But as I'm trying to get everything from my head into these courses, it's taking me a bit longer than I had expected it to. So I'd say I'm about 3/5 of the way through the whole lot, but I've been at it for a few months, so it's going to take a little while. But if anyone has any questions about hypnotherapy training, and especially if you want to do one-to-one, feel free to get in touch with me. Hopefully, Kathy, that answers your question for now. A really good place to begin, if you haven't already, is checking out my book, The Beginner's Guide to Hypnotherapy. I am really a proponent of the idea that you don't need to go out necessarily, unless you feel it's going to benefit you, unless you need specific in-person training. And in-person training is great, and online training is great. But if you're the kind of person who can just read something, get an idea of how it works, and practice it, and have a go, and refine then what you're doing, that's fine. You can do that. You can start out as a hypnotherapist being self-taught. That's what, you're never really self-taught, because you have to learn from somewhere. Whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's books, whether it's online, whether it's actually going to courses, you're learning from somewhere. But you don't need courses. That's something that a lot of course providers would disagree with. I'm a course provider, but I don't want to lie to people. I personally started out self-taught. I read a book that I found in my local bookshop at the time. That was before Amazon and all of these strange things that we have these days. And it was pretty much just an induction in a book, a hypnotic induction, how to hypnotize someone. And I started practicing on myself. I thought, well, what would I say to someone to help them with this issue while they're in hypnosis? And I just kind of found my way along a little bit, did some more reading, watched whatever little VHS videos and things that I could get my hands on at the time with those limited online resources. And I started helping people. And yeah, sure, it probably wasn't the most elegant thing in my hypnotherapy sessions when I started out, until I got more practice. And I thought, well, okay, I've done this, and that kind of worked, but I'm sure it could be a bit more robust. It could be a bit better. It could be worded in a slightly different way. There's nothing stopping you from learning hypnotherapy like that. So if that's something that you'd like to do, my book, The Beginner's Guide to Hypnotherapy, gives you a lot of tools that you can just put into practice. You can practice on yourself, you can record it and listen to it back yourself, or practice on your friends, your family, and there's nothing stopping you. Something that someone said to me recently, they'd done a course with another provider who I won't name, but they said you're not allowed to see any hypnotherapy clients until you've got your hypnotherapy certificate, which is, excuse the French, bollocks. There is no law in the UK that says you have to have any qualification whatsoever in order to practice hypnotherapy, to charge people money as a hypnotherapist, which a lot of course providers may make up their own rules and regulations and say, no, you're not allowed to do that. But actually, law-wise, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not a legal professional, but it's to the best of my knowledge, there are no laws that say that you need any of those things. There is regulation, it's voluntary regulation, and it says you should have standards, this kind of training standards, you should know these kinds of things in order to practice hypnotherapy. But again, that's not mandatory regulation, that's not a law, that's voluntary regulation. So hypnotherapists will volunteer to meet those standards, but you don't necessarily need to. The only piece of regulation in the UK about hypnosis that I'm aware of relates to stage hypnosis, interestingly. So you could literally say, if you have no experience whatsoever right now about hypnosis, you could go out, set your website up, set up your social media and say, I'm a hypnotherapist, come on, I'm charging £50 a session, come and see me. You might know nothing whatsoever about hypnotherapy, but it's perfectly legal, again, to the best of my knowledge, in order, for you to be able to do that. It's a double-edged sword, because in some ways, it might be bad, because then you've got people who maybe don't know quite enough practicing, or they think, well, I've learned this technique, let's apply this to everything, and that's not necessarily going to work great. So a little bit of a potential negative there, but the positive is it's so accessible that anyone pretty much can learn how to do hypnotherapy, even if you're on a shoestring budget. And so you don't need to get these £2, £3, £4, £5,000 courses, qualifications. That it doesn't necessarily matter. If you want to do it the way that I did it when I started out, then it's entirely your prerogative. So I'm more than happy as well to help if you have any questions. If you're thinking, well, what do I do? How do I go about helping this kind of client? And how am I going to? How do I set up my business processes? All of that kind of stuff. If you need any help, feel free to just get in touch with me. Send me a message. I'm always able to help as best I can. So hopefully, whose question was I answering there? I have no idea. I was just talking. Let me just jump back up. Oh my God, there's lots of... I think that was Kathy's question, and it kind of spiraled out of control. Sorry about that. Rich Brown, discount code for the Bristol event. Okay, so I don't have a discount code. I have special hidden discount pages that you won't be able to find. But if you message me directly, whether you send me a Facebook message, Instagram, or whatever, or send me an email, which is rory@learnhypnosis.com. I'll just put that in the chat now so you can email me directly. Then I will send you a link. I think that's... Can I spell and talk at the same time? Maybe. Hey, you'll find out. So I'll send you the discount page link directly, Rich, if you pop me a message. Suniti, she said, okay, so progressive. Suniti's answering a question for me. Fantastic. Thanks, Niti. Progressive deepeners for rapid inductions. Absolutely fine. You definitely can do that. Frankie. Hi, Rory. Hi, Frankie. Nice to see you again. It's been a while. Maybe I'll see you at an upcoming course, Frankie. There's one in Leeds. Actually, that's this weekend. You're probably not going to make it from Ireland in that short amount of notice. But if you can, come and say hi. That'd be great. Simon Grant again, going back to the deepeners, I've used colours and number deepeners in conjunction with rapid induction, but they can be a bit long-winded. It depends. It depends on the client. It depends on the person that you're hypnotising and how you feel they are going into hypnosis, how deep you feel. So a really important thing to do to figure out if someone is deep enough in hypnosis is test it. Get them to do something, to follow a suggestion. You can do your very simple, standard eye catalepsy suggesting that their eyes are so relaxed that they won't work when they're sure they won't work, to test it, to try and open their eyes. And that's a great way to tell if someone is at a nice depth of hypnosis, if they're able to use their imagination to follow those suggestions. And if they are, and if they've done that, you can probably just carry on doing the suggestion work, whether it's the fun stuff, whether it's the therapy stuff. At that point, they're probably at the right level, unless you're doing complex stuff, unless you're doing deep therapy work and subconscious parts therapy, IMRs, or you're going the other way with entertainment. You're doing hallucinations, imagining the hypnotist with no clothes on. Love that one. Not in a weird way. But those things require a bit more of a depth of trance, and they're better off leaving towards the end. But using your simple eye catalepsy suggestions, that's a great way to tell if you're going to need more deepening or not. So I always like to test stuff within hypnosis, rather than just assuming that someone is following your suggestions and you're reading a script out of them. Don't like that makes me shudder. So do stuff and figure out, get an idea tangibly as to where they're at, and that tends to leave you in good stead. Even if you're a hypnotherapist, you are allowed to do that stuff. You can give suggestions for phenomena with your clients. It doesn't just have to be all therapy related all the time. In fact, that's something that people often say to me, coming along to the stage hypnosis course. It's, wow, there are so many skills that a stage and street hypnotist might use that can be applied and can be very useful for hypnotherapists. So there's a massive crossover there. Some hypnotherapists, some trainers pass on, as we were saying right at the start, some trainers pass on their ideas and their prejudices and say, hypnotherapists should never do anything relating to stage and street hypnosis because it's the devil. And similar things. But stage and street hypnosis is very similar to hypnotherapy. It's just the focus is different. All hypnosis is the same, regardless of the type of induction that you use or the environment that you're doing it in. It's all the same type of hypnosis, which is your state of hypnosis as the person being hypnotized. You're going into your own state of hypnosis. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's just what is suggested that, that's what makes it different. This is not beer. It's actually a hot toddy, because like I said, I've got a bit of a bad throat, so this is going to help. Cheers, everybody, in my nice Hello Kitty cup. Oh my God, that's delicious. Thank you, Sarah. She went by. You can come say hi if you want to all of the... I don't know how many people are watching.
I'll look Rebecca out.
Here she is. Hi. Right, there. Now I won't get in trouble. I might get in trouble for doing that. Hey, I'll hypnotise her. She'll forget. Simon, I know that wasn't a question about the numbers and colours deepeners, but hopefully that gives a bit more insight as well. Frankie, have you even got client to draw in hypnosis? And if so, how do you start with? I think I just had a seizure, Frankie, trying to read that. I'm sorry, I don't get it. Have even got client to draw in hypnosis? And if so, how do you start with? Please clarify. I think you're talking about automatic writing, but I'm not sure. So please let me know in a comment below, and I'll find it and I'll answer it. Sorry. It might just be me and my brain and my cold. Paddy, hi, Rory made it. When in a stage hypnosis setting, what would you say would be the maximum number of people you would use for rapid inductions? That's a good question. It depends. It depends on the setting. It depends on the mindset of the people. And as some of you guys know who are doing stage hypnosis in the UK, it's very different doing stage hypnosis here than it is doing it over in the US and Canada, for example, because people are brought up with hypnosis. They have high school shows, so they experience it from a very young age and en masse. And generally Americans tend to be a lot more enthusiastic, and it's like there's someone comes up on stage before anything's happened, they're standing up and they're clapping, whereas in the UK we're like, right, show me something, dance monkey, make something happen, and then I might give you a round of applause. We're a bit more jaded, we're a bit more reserved, so I would use rapid inductions maybe a bit less in the UK than I would if I was doing it somewhere else, like in America. But it would also depend on how many people that you have. So if you have a stage hypnosis show and you have relatively few volunteers up on stage, then I might use rapid inductions with each of those, because as well as giving them that personal attention, you can actually use it as an entertainment tool. And unlike, a stage hypnosis show where you've got like 30, 40 people on stage, at that point it's kind of unmanageable most of the time, so it tends to be a bit easier to do a progressive group induction, maybe adding in a couple of rapid elements as well. So if you've got like less than 5 people on stage, then yeah, sure, rapid inductions, that can work quite nicely. Always, I would suggest, based on their reaction to suggestibility testing, hypnotize the most suggestible person first, because that's going to add in as a convincer, and when the other people who are up on stage see that work, it's much more likely to then work domino effect on those other people. Whereas if you try and hypnotise the least responsive one, they go, yep, no, that didn't work. It can go the opposite way, so avoid doing that. But that's one of the benefits of using a group progressive induction in a stage hypnosis environment, because you can do it with everyone at the same time, and it's less pressure. It takes a bit less time as well. I've seen a fair few American stage hypnotists and cruise ship hypnotists who get the really big audience. I go to the state fairs and they've got like 1,000 people in the audience and 100 people up on stage. Some of them will do a group induction, a progressive type kind of induction. Others will go along every single person and do a rapid induction, usually a handshake induction or an arm pull induction. They'll say, well, hi, how are you? Sleep. And what's your name? Sleep. And give me your arm. Sleep. And just going round and round and round. They tend to have helpers with them to make sure that everyone is safe and secure. The only downside with that is that if you're hypnotizing a lot of people with rapid inductions, they kind of, you're relying on them staying in hypnosis while you go off and hypnotize other people. So you can put that in as a suggestion. Sleep, you remain in hypnosis until I speak to you again. Something like that if you wanted to. Sometimes people will have helpers going and giving deepening suggestions, but it's entirely up to you, really. For me personally, In the UK, if I was doing a relatively small, intimate kind of event, whether it's a pub or a wedding or a house party, if you're looking at like less than 100 people and you get maybe 10 volunteers, I'd say I'd stick with a progressive induction. If you've got 5 or less, sure, have a go. Rapid inductions can work just well. Remember, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Whatever kind of induction you're using, that person will go into hypnosis in their own way, regardless of that. Hopefully, Paddy, that helps and wasn't too meandering of an answer. Suniti again, when talking to people who have no understanding of hypnotherapy, what's the best way to describe it without making it overly complicated? Had a few people ask me, and I'm worried about overcomplicating it or perhaps not explaining it well enough to sell it. So there are many ways that you can explain hypnotherapy, and one of the things that I alluded to earlier was flexibility. So flexibility also applies here, being able to describe it in a way that works for the person in front of you. It's all well and good having a pre-talk script, so you're explaining how hypnosis works, you're dispelling myths and misconceptions, and you're selling hypnosis or hypnotherapy to that person. Some people would want a lot more information, some people don't want a lot of information. The key thing to remember is that, especially with hypnotherapy, the thing that people are most interested in is not your qualifications, and it's not the scientific activation of hypnosis in the brain, which parts of the brain specifically, are working harder in hypnosis and all of that kind of stuff. It's how can you help them and how's it going to affect their lives positively. Generally, a kind of cursory piece of information about what hypnosis is like is enough for the majority of people. So you're selling the sizzle rather than the steak, as they say in advertising, or used to say. I don't know if steak's allowed anymore. Probably has to be tofu. Don't cancel me. I'm not famous enough to get cancelled, it's fine. So you're explaining things such as the fact that hypnosis is a natural state. It's something we go through every day. You can talk about highway hypnosis, and you can talk about when you read a book but you're not actually reading it. Your eyes are doing this, but you're not taking any information in. That state in between awake and asleep is a very nice way to describe what hypnosis can feel like for some people. But as well as that, do bear in mind that even though you have, probably, if you're a hypnotherapist, you have your own opinion of what hypnosis is like or what hypnosis feels like for you, it may feel different for different people. So that's when you start hypnotizing other people, you get feedback from them about what their experience was like, and you will learn quite quickly that all people have different experiences. So it's important to let people know that it's a subjective experience, that people's experiences will differ. Some people, it will be as if they're sat there with their eyes closed, they can hear what's going on around them, but they just feel a bit relaxed. They feel they're a bit more focused on what's going on. And for a lot of people, and especially going into hypnotherapy and for the first time when they're nervous about what's going to happen, that can be their experience. And that's fine. It is what it is. Different people will have different experiences. Some people will have really profound experiences, and it will be like they have had their brain turned off for a while during the therapy session, and then come back at the end and go, wow, have we had the session? Is the session done? But it's the majority of the time, it's a normal, a natural experience, something that, because of the myths about hypnosis, because of the things that you might see online or in movies, that it's sensationalized, but actually it's quite like meditation and that kind of thing. It's the relaxation of the mind. You're not going to be darting about and thinking all of these different things. It's releasing thoughts, becoming aware of thoughts, letting them go. But the idea that's different with hypnosis and meditation is that it's complete clearing the mind, or just focusing on one thing like a symbol or a mantra. Whereas with hypnosis, it's focusing on following the suggestion of the hypnotist. So it can feel very similar. And with testing, it's a meditative state and a hypnotic state look very similar with someone's brain if they're in an MRI machine. But with hypnosis, it's slightly different. There's a little bit more activity, and I think the right hemisphere of the brain when someone is in hypnosis. A really good example of how to describe hypnosis, how to show people what hypnosis is like. You can do this now if you'd like to, if you're safe to do so. If you're not in a car operating machinery, anything like that, it's literally going to take like 10 seconds. So what I'd like you to do, make yourself comfortable and take a nice deep breath in. And then exhale when you're ready and close your eyes. For the moment, I'm not going to hypnotize you, just follow these suggestions and it will give you an example. So take another nice deep breath all the way in with your eyes closed. And then when you're ready to relax, just let it go. And then one final time, all the way in as deep as you can, and then hold it at the top for a moment, and then exhale and relax. And what you feel right now is what some people feel when they're going into hypnosis. And you can take a nice deep breath in now and open your eyes and come on back, all the way back, especially those of you who are familiar with being in hypnosis and like to go into that state. Come on all the way back. So those are just a couple of things that I would explain to people, but you don't need to go into too much technical detail about what hypnosis is, what parts of the brain it works on, how many million things the subconscious mind can do versus what the conscious mind can do, and all of that complex stuff. It's mainly ask them the question, what would you like to know about hypnosis? Is there anything that you don't understand about hypnosis? Is there anything that concerns you about hypnosis? And you can give them the information that individual needs in order to buy into that process a bit more, to feel comfortable, to have that rapport with you, and to more easily go into hypnosis. So hopefully, Suniti, that helps a little bit. Simon Grint, thank you. And with every meow, you can relax even deeper. Well, that was when I was talking about my cats. That seems like ages ago. Man, I'm getting behind on these comments. Rich, I'm finding it difficult to practice as my friends laugh at me and I'm not confident to do street stuff yet. I mean, if your friends are laughing, that's a good sign, right? You're doing something funny. Not so good in the therapy session, but in, street hypnosis. Friends may not immediately think of you as a hypnotist. If it's something that you're new to, if it's something you're learning to do, they may go, well, surely you can't learn hypnosis. It's a magical talent. It's a skill, something divine intervention gives you. So some people just think that you can't learn to do it. It's something that you're born with. So that's something that you may have a little uphill battle with. But what I recommend, find one person that you can hypnotize. It doesn't have to be a friend. Go for friends of friends, people who don't know you quite well, or friends of the family, or even just random people. Can sometimes be easier than people that you know, just simply because there isn't this pre-expectation, and it's much easier to do it that way. And then once you have that person, once you get some practice, record it, video it, show your friends, then you have social proof. They can see you hypnotizing a real person, at which point they're much more likely to believe it. Some friends, some family members will never let you hypnotize them, and it will be more to do with relationship dynamics, that they don't feel comfortable doing it. I am not allowed to hypnotize my mum, apparently. However, she's actually quite a good hypnotic subject, because she was up on stage at a hypnosis show and was one of the stars of the show. But because it's me, and maybe she doesn't trust me on some level, I don't know why, obviously, but she won't let me hypnotise, or hasn't. I haven't tried for a couple of years, actually. Maybe I'll sneak up on her one day and just do it. But hopefully that helps a little bit. But yeah, it's a case of either finding ways to convince them, and if that means proving it, showing them a video of you doing it, or bringing someone who you can hypnotise and doing it with them so that they can see it, or even giving them a different introduction to hypnosis. So rather than going straight in for the fun stuff, if you're just looking to practice, maybe you could go in and say, so rather than doing all like that entertainment hypnosis stuff that I was talking about before, would you like a nice relaxing experience? And then you can do some nice progressive stuff, some nice relaxing suggestions for them to make them feel good. Not therapy necessarily, just experiential stuff. And that can get them used to that process, used to thinking of you as a hypnotist, and then you can transition them to doing more of the fun stuff. So that's useful for anyone who is struggling to find people to practice with. Hopefully that will help you, Rich. Can I also book 30 minutes one-to-one after the Bristol event? Yes, you can. I do offer, as Rich says, one-to-one training, online training as well. So whether it's on Zoom or Skype or whatever kind of medium, and that's in 15-minute chunks. So you don't even have to book a whole hour. You can just come and spend 15 minutes with me, get any questions that you have answered, cover any sticking points that you have. I can give you as much information as I can cram into 15 minutes. As you can probably tell from this session, we're 39 minutes in. It probably feels to you like I've been talking for 2 hours. So yeah, that's all on my website, learnhypnosis.com, in the one-to-one training section. And I also do one-to-one in-person events as well, so that's half-day and full-day one-to-ones. I have a little thing on the page as well for those of you who've said about hypnotherapy training, one-to-one hypnotherapy training. I did a couple of weeks ago, a guy came up from Milton Keynes, lovely chap, Chris, did a 5-day hypnotherapy one-to-one and covered a whole bunch of stuff. So that option is available on my one-to-one page if you're looking to get hands-on training, and that can happen, as I said, whenever you're ready, pretty much. Paddy, you're coming to Bristol. I look forward to hypnotising you and getting hypnotised. Oh, no, you're talking to Rich. I thought you were talking to me. It's like, you're going to hypnotise me? You're ballsy. Ballsy, mate. But you can hypnotise me. It's fine. Maybe you will. Hey, we'll find out if I don't get you first. So let me just... I'm jumping along the comments there. Oh my God, I've missed so many. There's so many down here that I haven't seen yet. Kathy Allen, thanks, brilliant. I have all your books in there, great. Thanks, Rich. If anyone who's trained with Rory doesn't mind practicing together, please PM me. That's Suniti. Feel free to jump onto my Facebook group, which I will pop a link into the chat now. For those of you who aren't already in the group, it used to be called Rapid Hypnotists group, and I changed the name of it because I think people got a bit confused about it. So the link still says that, but the group is now Learn Hypnosis with the Rory Z Hypnosis Academy, so people know that that's where I am. Feel free, Suniti, to jump on there. You can pop a post in and arrange some practice, because a lot of people who are in the group have been to my courses, and it's a really good idea to get as much practice as you can. And you've had a couple of comments in there saying people want to get some practice as well. Kathy Allen, can anyone that wants to be hypnotised be hypnotised? Grey area. Mostly yes. The majority of people who want to be hypnotised can be hypnotised, but I always like to refer back to a statement from the late great Milton Erickson, and it relates not to the subject and putting the onus on them, but the hypnotist. There are no poor subjects, only inflexible hypnotists. I may be paraphrasing slightly, but that's true. So it's about using the right approach for the person that you have in front of you. Some people will respond really well to rapid inductions. Some people will never go into hypnosis with rapid inductions, and vice versa with progressive induction. Some people believe that they are physically and mentally unable of relaxing. So at that point, a progressive relaxation induction is going to do nothing for that person. So you might want to use a rapid. You might want to use a confusion induction. You might use conversational hypnosis approaches for that person. So yes, pretty much everyone can be hypnotized, so long as you, as a hypnotist or hypnotherapist, are flexible and you can adapt what you're doing to that individual. And in that case, they're much more likely to be hypnotized, and you're much more likely to be able to hypnotize pretty much everyone that comes through your door. Doesn't mean they're all going to go into a deep somnambulistic state where they're able to, completely regress back to their childhood as if they were there, or have full-on anesthesia and you can stick needles through their arm. Not everyone can do that. Some people can get better at being hypnotized and responding to suggestions and phenomena with practice and repetition, but we all have a natural inherent level of suggestibility, and that's something that can be developed a bit, but you're probably never going to take someone from the worst possible responsive subject to someone who is going to respond to absolutely every suggestion really quickly, really easily. That's unlikely to happen. But to have someone kind of jump from here to here rather than here to here, that jump probably is achievable if they want that to happen. So hopefully that answers that question. So we've got a couple more comments. Rory, will there be any courses in London again soon? Yes, there will be. The course in London, the next one is a 2-day rapid induction stage and street hypnosis skills, which is, I believe, the first weekend in July. Let me just find it. Yeah, 8th and 9th of July, and that will be in London. So feel free to come along and join me and hypnotise fast and have some fun. It's a great opportunity to get confident doing hypnosis. So hopefully that helps, Aniti. Frankie, going back to that one, not writing, drawing pictures, like using Play-Doh. Still not quite getting it. What? Clarify for me, Frankie. What do you want to know specifically? What about that process in hypnosis, drawing pictures or using modelling? What can I help you with? Tell me specifically. Simon Grint, will you be running EMDR training program as part of your course curriculum? EMDR is not something that is part of a standard hypnotherapy curriculum. It's a completely different therapy modality, so it's unlikely to be something that will be part of my standard hypnotherapy training. However, if you're interested in using EMDR, if you haven't already, there is a Hypno EMDR course which is designed specifically for hypnotherapists to incorporate EMDR. And if you don't know what EMDR is, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, and the idea is you're using bilateral stimulation, getting them to focus on finger movements left and right in order to process difficult information. It's very frequently used in trauma and PTSD, and it works really well alongside hypnotherapy approaches as well. Let me just let me just find that. Sorry, on my browser, and I'll pop a link to that in the chat as well, just so that you have that if it's something that you're interested in learning. There you go. That's in the chat somewhere. Hopefully that helps, Simon. Oh God, every time I post something, it jumps down. What time are we at? Oh, quarter past. I've been talking for 45 minutes. How did that happen? I'm surprised my throat's held out. It must be the hot toddy. Kathy, another question. Due to the myths about hypnosis, would you recommend recording sessions so that if clients want to know what happened throughout, you can show them? As you said, some may not even realise they've been hypnotised. I get why you'd think that might be a good idea. I personally avoid it. Again, my opinion. Some hypnotherapists will always record a session and give it to their client. Some hypnotherapy schools say that's what you should do. Take that recording, give it to the client, and then they can listen to it over and over. The reason that I would say don't do that, because, well, in this context, you don't really want to be trying to prove what happened during the session necessarily, because that might make them think negative things potentially. So just so that you're aware that you were safe during the session, here's a recording that you can listen to. No, skip that. The reason that most people say, here, take this recording, go away, listen to it, is repetition and reinforcement, and that's good. I like repetition, I like reinforcement, but it doesn't quite work in the way that a lot of people think it does. Because if you're doing a hypnotherapy session for a client, they're coming along for help with this thing, your aim as a hypnotherapist is for that client to leave the session with different behaviours, with different habits, with different beliefs and ideas, leaving as a slightly different person, and then able to do things differently in their life. If you record that session, that then kind of assumes that what you've done maybe hasn't worked, that they need to then listen to it over and over for it to work. And it also kind of brings them back to before they were in the session, because if you listen to that same session over and over, they're hearing you talking about their problem as it was before the session. And if your hypnotherapy session has been effective and been successful, they may not even have the problem, or they may have a significant amount less of a problem after the session. So why would you then give them the exact same session that deals with those issues that they probably don't have anymore? Because you're kind of then just reminding them of how it was. There's nothing stopping you, and my advice would be, if you want to record something for them, record a kind of more general top-up recording, a top-up MP3. And to make it really easy, record it so generally that you can give the same one to every single client. Keep it really broad. All of the things that we covered in that session are going deep into your subconscious mind, and you'll find you're able to respond to all of those positive suggestions that I gave you. Get some ego strengthening in there. You're going to have the resources, you're going to have the self-belief, the self-control to fulfill your goals, and all of this stuff. We don't have to talk about something specifically that's still going to help them keep them focused on their goals, but without dragging them back towards the problem. Another Milton Ericksonism: be artfully vague if you're going to do something like that, because there's no point just re-immersing them in all that stuff that you've done before. So that would be my opinion, Kathy. And with regards to the myths part, so they know what happened. Most people will remember the majority of what happens, and they will remember any important key points. And if you have someone who wakes up and they go, oh, I don't really remember any of that, doesn't mean they won't remember any of that. It's just kind of maybe a hypnotic haze at the end. So as they go away from the session, over the coming hours, maybe the coming days, things will tend to come back to them as well. So don't just assume that they're not going to remember any of it, because they might, and it might come back. And for other people, they may remember a lot more of it. Some people will remember the whole thing. They'll wake up and go, oh, I really liked it when you gave me that suggestion to walk down the mountainside, and that thing where my hands were coming together, that was fantastic, and da-da-da. So it's different for different people. So hopefully that helps answer that question, Kathy. Let me move down. Frankie, why do I feel as if my throat is blocked and can't stop coughing when I go into hypnosis? Could be relaxation of parts of your mouth, of your throat, potentially. I would recommend maybe try going into hypnosis in different positions. You could also potentially, I don't know if you could do it, but avoid relaxing that part of your face. That sounded a bit weird. Avoid relaxing the mouth and the throat areas, and just keep them as normal as you can. You sometimes find this with asthmatic people who smoke a lot and that kind of thing, that the deep breathing whilst going into hypnosis can irritate them. So if you're doing hypnosis on yourself or you're being hypnotized, avoid the deep breathing and avoid the specific relaxation of these kinds of muscles, and that may help you. It might just be a completely random subconscious thing that happens, and if so, you might, and I know frankly as you're a hypnotherapist you have the skill to do it, you might do some change work on yourself. You might take yourself into the control room of your mind and change the controls for how your body responds in that situation. You might do some parts therapy to find a new way of responding whilst in hypnosis. All things that you'll learn on a good hypnotherapy course, or in my book, The Beginner's Guide to Hypnotherapy as well. But I know Frankie knows it already. I'm just mentioning that for everybody else. Suniti, big thank you. Oh, that's good. I like that. Simon Grint, thank you as well. Fab. Some people, Suniti again, some people have asked me if they will need one, or if they will only need one session. I find it hard to answer this question. Oh, okay, that's two questions, right. So some people ask me if they'll only need one session. So you can never guarantee how many sessions someone's going to need in hypnotherapy, because you could have two clients with the same issue. One of them could take one session and the other one could take 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. It depends on that person's life. It depends on their symptoms. It depends on their habits. It depends on their support structure. It depends on their motivation as to whether they actually want to do something different. So many different elements that come into it, and that's why, yes, you probably do find it hard to answer the question how many sessions you will need. And I will always suggest to a client, let's say smoking cessation, or it can be any client really, doesn't particularly matter. So I've worked with a lot of people who have had this issue and have resolved it. For some people, it will only take a session, or maybe even maybe just 2. But for other people, need a bit more time to get used to these changes, to implement them in their lives, and work better with a bit more of a gradual process. And it really comes down to you as the client, as to how much you want this change, and how much motivation you have to put the things that you'll learn in this hypnotherapy session into effect. Because the more engaged you are, the quicker this therapy process is going to be, and the more long-lasting this change will be for you, or something like that. right? So you're basically saying it could be a session, it could be a few sessions. It's not my fault, it's your fault. It's not up to me to make you change right now. It's up to you to do the stuff I've asked you to do. And at that point, if you're doing that, and if you're following my instructions, and you're doing the homework that I give you, and all of that kind of stuff, then you're going to change faster, and it's going to work better for you. So hopefully that helps, Suniti. What homework do you suggest is best to give if we aren't giving MP3 recordings? That's a very broad question. You can, like I said, give the broad MP3 recordings, but homework needs to be related to moving them towards their goal, pushing them potentially towards the edge of their comfort zone, and also giving you more information. If you're going to see them again, coming back for another session, you might want information about what's going on in their life, and maybe having a diary of what their symptoms have been like, what their experiences have been, have they done anything positive, have they had any problems, and what did they do to overcome them. All of this useful information. It might be relating to I don't know, specific situations. So a really common example is going, airport. Someone with a flying phobia, you get them, if you're doing it gradually with homework, you might initially get them to watch one of those airport shows on the TV, and to use a calm breathing technique while they're doing that, to feel good and associating it. And then you might get them the next week to go to an airport just to get a coffee or just to walk around. And then if their main goal is to fly from the UK to Australia, it might be that your third homework is that they book a flight from one city in the UK to another one nearby, like a half an hour flight or an hour flight. So it's a really small step forwards, and then gradually building up to that thing. So depending on the client that you're working with, there'll be a whole different range of homework that you could give them. There are basic, simple ones that apply to most people, like the diary stuff. And there are off-the-wall ones. Read some Milton Erickson stuff. Read My Voice Will Go With You. If you haven't read that already, there are so many really cool examples of what Erickson used to do, and you'll never find them in any scripts or in any any books. This is what you should do with this kind of client, because they're very, very creative, based on what he thought the client needed. I believe one of them was like, there was a guy who wanted to lose weight, so his homework was to not have any food in the house, and any time he wanted a meal, he had to walk to the shop and back to get the food for his meal. That's pretty good homework. It kills like 2 or 3 birds with one stone, actually. But yeah, lots of examples. But My Voice Will Go With You. That's a really good book, and it's easy reading. So have a look at that as well. Hopefully that helps, Suniti. Simon Grint, see you in July. Rory, see you. Simon, see you there. Linda Morris, would you recommend giving people homework between sessions? I was just talking about that. If there's more than one session, such as practicing self-hypnosis, EFT, yeah, definitely. The more someone can be engaged in the hypnotherapy process, the better their outcome is going to be. If you've got someone who just wants it done to them, for you to wave your magic wand, make me stop smoking, okay, yeah, not really going to work very well necessarily. They need to be motivated, they need to be willing, and they need to be an active participant in their own change process. And that's what you're there to do. You're there to enable them, to motivate them, to help them move forwards, to support them in whatever ways that you can, but also to support them in being engaged and taking some responsibility to move themselves forward. I think I might have come to the end of the questions on here. Anyway, I've got lots of thank yous. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Sunita. Thanks for everyone who's come along and listened to me rattle on. Hopefully it's been really useful for you. So it is about an hour in. So I think we'll probably wrap it up now. So anyone who'd like to come along to train with me in person, you are absolutely more than welcome. You can find all of my details of upcoming courses on my new website, shiny new website, learnhypnosis.com. And there I can just briefly, I've got a London-based 2-day course, Stage and Street Hypnosis, on the 8th and 9th of July. Then the next one after that will be in London in December. I only run my Stage and Street Hypnosis courses in London at the moment, just because the more people that can come to it, the better an experience everyone is going to have. So I keep it in that one place. And this year, because of many people requesting it, I've got a bunch of rapid induction dates all across the country. To this Saturday, so the 15th, in 2 days, I'm going to be in Leeds. doing rapid inductions. On the 10th of June, I'll be over in Bristol, in the West Country. I'll be down in Southampton on the 19th of August. I'm going to be in my hometown, right here, Kings Lynn, on the 23rd of September. Anyone who's around that area, that's going to be a tiny event. That's going to be just 4 people. So I think there's only 3 places left on that one. So if you wanted to join me in the Kings Lynn event, I'd book that sooner rather than later. Frankie, come to Northampton. No, come to Kings Lynn. It's very close to Northampton. That's like an hour and a half away. Or London as well. That's fairly close as well. I can't go everywhere, unfortunately. People always ask me, oh, can you come here? Can you come there? It's like I'm doing Leeds this weekend, which is pretty much like half an hour or maybe less from Manchester. It's like, oh, I can't make it to Leeds. Can you come to Manchester? It's like, get in your fucking car. Come on. It's worth it. I'm worth it, right? You want to come and see me? Of course you do. Yes, you do. So come to Kings Lynn, and I'll show you around the historical town, of course. And then finally, I'm going off on tangents. I think I'm getting a bit delirious. I haven't had enough of my hot toddy. There's loads left. Finally, I'll be in Edinburgh, Scotland, on the 28th of October, and that's a really fantastic location. Really nice venue. And if you're looking for a little trip up to Scotland, then it's a really good option. We were there in the winter last year, and it was fab. That's why we're definitely going back there. So that's all. I'm a gobshite. Yes, I am. That's correct. Come and see me. You can tell me that in person. So that's all on the website. There are loads of frequently asked questions on the homepage of the website, learnhypnosis.com. Just scroll down the page. Loads of questions answered. Lots of blog posts so you can go and read in more detail. There's links to my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, and you can find all of my books, DVDs, hypnosis t-shirts. You can get a Rory Z Hypnosis Academy hypnotist shirt if you want to. I don't think anyone's bought one of those yet, apart from me. They're available on the learnhypnosis.com as well. So hopefully that's been informative for you. I am now going to go and finish my hot toddy and probably go to sleep. If anyone has any questions about hypnosis and you'd like to get in touch with me, feel free. Pop me a message, give me a call, give me a text, give me whatever it is. I'm more than happy to chat about hypnosis and help you to get the information and the practical skills that you need to become a confident and successful hypnotist or hypnotherapist. So thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for listening to me, and maybe I'll see you at some point soon. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you later.